What will be the first two bills impacting Israel that you would introduce in the next Congress in February 2011?
The first would be to provide Israel a guarantee that any attack on Israel will be regarded by the United States as an attack on America. This is very important because...
Please.
It's very important because it extends the effective protection of Article 5 of the NATO Treaty to Israel, which is not a member of NATO, but essentially says the United States regards Israel as part of that unbreakable alliance in a very practical sense. It's also very important that the United States indicate, and this could be part of the same resolution or a separate one, that we will support Israel in the event it must launch a preemptive strike against Iran. We can do that, for example, by allowing Israel access to Iraqi airspace. We currently have tens of thousands of troops still on the ground in Iraq, and we can make sure that Israel has passage to Iran over Iraq, which is the shortest route if Israel must attack. Right now, Israel is looking for landing rights in countries like Saudi Arabia, which are hostile to Israel and which, although terrified of Iran and willing to cooperate in this instance, can take away Israel's landing rights at any moment and deny Israel the opportunity. So those, I think, are very important guarantees. The second thing we have to do is defund those UN institutions that have no other purpose but to demonize Israel and propagate what is modern anti-Semitic propaganda. That includes the United Nations Human Rights Council, which we ought never to have joined, which spends all of its time, if it's not demonizing Israel, demonizing the United States. And in the year plus since we've been there, we have not stood up for Israel. We have not stood up for human rights in a number of other countries, China, Jordan, Libya. We have not used our seat on that council to do the right thing. I think we should withdraw, defund the UN Human Rights Council, as well as the Committee on the Inalienable Rights of the Palestinian People, because that committee, which operates within the United Nations Secretariat, is just a giant bureaucracy churning out anti-Israel and often anti-Semitic propaganda. So those would be the first two acts I would introduce in the House of Representatives.
Most people are aware that the United States... Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's all right. Okay.
Oop.
Well, actually, something that I could do when I return in a few weeks to Washington, I think it would be wise for the United States Congress to urge the Palestinian Authority, to urge Abbas to accept the offer that Prime Minister Netanyahu made. That is, that he agreed to recognize the Jewish state of Israel, and that in exchange, that Prime Minister Netanyahu would extend for 2 months the moratorium on settlements. And I think that that was what Netanyahu offered. I think Abbas should accept it, and that could bring the two back to the table. We could also restate our commitment that at all costs, and certainly now there's talk about a Saudi arms sale of about $60 billion, to assert that in no way will this disadvantage Israel's qualitative military edge, that we want to make sure, although I myself actually have some concerns about the Saudi arms deal. I know that Israel has not opposed it. But I think at the very least, any kind of a deal like that puts arms into the Middle East, we have to state clearly that we assure that that will not erode Israel's qualitative military edge.